Hi there, my name's Andy Dempsey. I'm a pastor of Freedom Church in Uddingston, and it's a real privilege to be able to join in your devotions at Sunny Hill. For a few moments, I'd just like to look at a few verses from the book of Isaiah. I believe that you are working through that book, and so the scriptures I want to refer to are largely found between chapters 7 and 9. But before we get there, just a word from Jesus. In Matthew 10 he says, "Do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell." These are strong words from Jesus, and two commands. Don't fear men, but instead fear God. And why does Jesus say this? Because nothing that men can do or say has any eternal consequence. But by contrast, God has the power of life and death and eternal destruction. Well, this is really a message that we find in chapters 7 through 9 of the book of Isaiah. Right at the beginning of chapter 1, King Ahaz is in a time of terror. He's afraid because his enemies have teamed up against him. King Ahaz was not a man of faith. He was seen as one of Israel's wicked kings. Nevertheless, God spoke to him through the prophet Isaiah when he was afraid, when he was shaken. Isaiah 7:2 says, "Ahaz and his people were shaken as trees of the forest are shaken by the wind." Seems like a hopeless and terrifying situation, but the Lord to the prophet, and he sends Isaiah to Ahaz to say, be careful, keep calm, don't be afraid, don't lose heart because of these two smouldering stubs of firewood. Challenging words, encouraging words though to a man who's afraid. And this was good advice that the prophet gives. We sometimes see similar advice, don't we, on t-shirts or on cups. Don't panic, keep calm. But this is more than just good advice because it's backed up by a promise from God. In a very short time, Isaiah would go on to say, your enemies will be destroyed. They will be the ones who are shattered. They are the ones who are going to be afraid. They are the ones who are going to be shaken like trees in the wind. And he goes on to say this, not only will you experience deliverance, but a deliverer will come. The Messiah, one who is Emmanuel, God with us. And we live today in the fulfillment of that promise. So we as the people of God should not be a people of fear. Fear should be banished from our hearts. Of course, we do have enemies. We do have those who set their face against us, both spiritual and otherwise. The New Testament speaks of the world, the flesh and the devil, and sometimes these three team up and come against us in very terrifying ways, very scary ways. Sometimes we too can be shaken as trees shaken by the wind. And to us, God comes and says, keep calm, don't be afraid, don't lose heart. And we can have confidence in this word because it's backed by the power of the Lord Jesus himself, who is God with us, our Emmanuel. Now when our enemies face him, they're the ones who shake and are terrified. And this refrain, fear not, is often spoken by the Lord Jesus himself. And it is echoed in Isaiah 8. There we read, do not call conspiracy everything that these people call conspiracy. And do not fear what they fear. Do not dread it. The Lord is the one you are to regard as holy. He is the one you are to fear. He is the one you are to dread. And this is brilliant, he will be our sanctuary. You know, there's much that threatens and taunts us in our Christian lives. It's easy for us to become obsessed with it, get caught up in, oh, What's the enemy plotting against God's people? Isaiah's word is don't be like that, don't be afraid. Instead, fear God. Just as Jesus said, fear God. And then you don't need to fear anybody else or anything else. Because to fear God brings us to a place of sanctuary. And just to close with something that somebody said recently that really struck me. When we learn the fear of God, we learn how to enjoy ourselves without destroying ourselves. So my brothers in Sunnyhill, my sisters in Sunnyhill, be encouraged this day. Don't fear men, fear God. That will bring you to a place of sanctuary, and that will bring you to a place where your soul prospers. God bless you.